Well, hello everybody, and welcome to vlog number 3. In vlog number 1, we talked about the fact that we are standing stones and God calls us to stand for Him. In vlog number 2, we talked about David and Goliath, and we talked about using your stone and throwing your stone, using your gifts and using your talents. Now, in today's vlog number 3, we're going to begin by asking the question, who do you build for? Maybe another way to ask it is this. What's your motivation? What is it that drives you? Why is it that you do what you do? Is there something that you can identify that motivates you? When I think about my motivations, I think about these 2 rocks that I have on my desk here in this small bowl. And when I think of these 2 stones, it reminds me, first of all, to stand as a stone for Him. And then it reminds me also to use my stone. Now, the first stone that we have here, it's not much to look at. It's not very pretty. It's actually kind of misshapen. It kind of has a dull look to it. But I picked it up in a riverbed or in a creek bed in Elah in Israel. And it reminds me of where David and Goliath fought. It reminds me of where David picked up 5 smooth stones and fought Goliath. Now, why did he pick up 5 stones? Well, he used what was available, and stones were available. Now, I wonder, as we are in this unique season of time, what's available to you that you could be using that maybe you're not using? David also used a sling because he was a shepherd boy, and it's what was familiar to him. It's what he was gifted at. I wonder if there are certain gifts today that you're not using that God has given to you. What are those gifts that you should be using and that you could be using? Also important to note is that when David goes up against Goliath, he says that his motivation wasn't sword, it wasn't spear, it wasn't success. His motivation was the name of the Lord. And 1 Samuel 17:46 actually says, "And the whole world will know that there is a God." When you use what you have and it's available to you, when you use what God has given you, and when you use it for His glory, the result of that is that the world will know that He is God. Now, I have the second stone here on my desk in this bowl. And the second stone is a stone I picked up also in Israel in a town called Caesarea Maritima. This town has a seaport where all of Paul's 4 missionary journeys either left from or came back to. Just let that set in for a moment, that there's a town that has a port where Paul's missionary journeys, all 4 of them, either left from or came back to. And Paul also spent time in prison in this town. But at this location, Herod built a freshwater pool, which is fascinating because the Mediterranean Sea isn't fresh water. Where did he get the water from? It's also fascinating because Herod didn't know how to swim, and so why would he build something that he can't even use? But he built personal gardens at Caesarea Maritima, a massive theater for entertainment, a huge hippodrome where gladiator fights and horse races, chariot races would take place. He even built a massive palace at Caesarea Maritima, and when the building project was finished, he didn't like the way it looked, and he actually sent for marble from all over the world and covered his palace in this beautiful marble. The stone was beautiful, and his palace could be seen for miles. When the sun would set on it or it would shine on it, it would just glisten and you could really see it. It was beautiful. Herod is said to have done stunning things. Herod is actually said to have been able to defy nature by some. But who did Herod build for? He built for himself. He built so that the world would know that he was number 1. Now, sadly, roughly 66 AD, a revolt or a battle takes place in Caesarea Maritima. Then all of his palace and the beautiful marble is thrown into the Mediterranean Sea. It's destroyed. This marble is what actually washes up on shore today at Caesarea Maritima. And this is a stone that I actually picked up on the shoreline as that marble washes up on shore even today. So maybe you think you're like this ordinary stone, kind of misshapen, not really able to be used. And for some reason, you desire to be more like this stone that is attractive and that glistens in the sun, that everybody desires to be like. But remember why you do what you do. Remember who it is that you indeed build for. Is it for the Lord's name, that his name may be held in high honor, or is it for your name, so that people might come to know you better? And remember that if you build in his name, that the world might know, it will last forever. So who do you build for? You know, when I think of that question, who do we build for? I think of what happens on the 3rd floor here at Covenant Life Church. Let's go up there together, shall we? So up here on the 3rd floor is a wood shop where the Friday guys and a lot of other people get together and do some amazing things. And today we're going to talk to Bob Parker, who's been part of what happens on this 3rd floor for many years. So Bob, can you tell me a little bit more about what happens up in this place?
Yep. Well, first let me say that God has really blessed us with an awesome space up here, and he's filled it over the past 15 years with fantastic tools. It's become a place where people from our church, as well as people from the greater community, come to build things to be used in ministry and to help show God's love for the world. God's used the hundreds of volunteers who have worked in this place to make over 9,000 wooden toy cars for missionaries to give to kids in 3rd world countries. We've also made 750 beds for kids who don't have one to sleep in. And since '03, the ramp team has built 125 wheelchair ramps for people who couldn't afford to have one built. Over 25 kids have been coached and helped to make an Adirondack table for their very own. Even special needs kids have worked here to make cars and birdhouses. And by the way, all of the cabinets and most of the carpentry in the church building have come out of this shop, along with most of the painting and staining. And there have also been countless personal projects done in the shop by people who just want to make something for their home.
And Bob, can you tell me a little bit more about why people would even come up here and give up their personal time to come up here and build something?
In my experience, people love to come up here and use their gifts and passions God's given them for woodworking and to build things to be used in the kingdom to bless those less fortunate, and also in support of other ministries. To paraphrase a line from the movie Chariots of Fire, when we're up here building things for God's kingdom, we feel his pleasure. One more thing, I think we'd all be blown away if we knew how much life sharing and mentoring, both intentional and spontaneous, really take place in this space.
Well, I am so thankful for each person that has spent time up here, and thank you, Bob, so much for showing us around a little bit and for telling us and sharing with us a bit of what some of the people gathered together do and why they do what they do up here and what they actually build for. Finally, friends, when at the shoreline at Caesarea Maritima, I always like to take the stone that I've gotten, that marble stone from Caesarea Maritima, and I like to just take it and I like to throw it into the sea. I keep my David stone though, and I ask this question. When you think of the stones, the gifts, the talents that you have been given, what or who are you building for? Brick by brick, are you building for yourself? Stone by stone, are you building for others? Gift by gift, are you building for God's name so that the world might know? Okay, let's head back to the office for a final thought today. Okay, so here's my final thought. When your life comes to an end, I don't want my life to be up for sale at a garage sale where people pick through my things. I want my life to point to his name. I want my family and my friends to say, Marshall used his stone to build for the Lord. As always, we'll see you again next time.